Please make sure you like and subscribe.
Today's a windy day down here, Sago Road, West Virginia. This is a pretty nice, peaceful, but sad place as well. As we lost some miners back in 2006. I remember watching this on TV. One of the guys wrote a letter saying, "I'm on the other side." Very nice and peaceful here. Randall McCloy. Randall Hemmick. Eric Hess. James Jameson. Owen Jones. Denver Anderson. Paul Avington. John Bonney. Thomas Anderson. David Lewis. Martin Toller. Fred the Bear Ware. Jackie Weaver. Marshall Winans. There he is. We'll see you on the other side. James Bennett. Jerry Groves. Mary Bennett. Marty Bennett. George Hamner. Terry Helms. Jesse Jones. 16 years back. January 2nd. There they are, right there. So they look like miners have a very dangerous job, and I salute them. You know, people need to appreciate electricians because their jobs are dangerous. These guys as well make our living for electricity and fire and all that heat. So this guy looks pretty young right there. So there's the church. We're gonna go back to the mine, take a look here.
You're going straight ahead, then you got a 90-degree turn.
In a West Virginia coal mine, 12 men struggle to survive.
Now there is not much hope.
Some of the crew struggle to get their breathing units working. Has begun between the rescuers and the gas. With no sign of rescue, the trapped miners think of their families, have spent a sleepless night waiting for news.
We're ordinary men doing a hard...
All right, the mine is right back in there. Good evening, everyone, and I'm coming live from Sago, West Virginia, where on January 2nd, a bunch of miners were killed. It was January 2nd where a bunch of kids were still at home versus school because it was considered a holiday, and even the miner rescue team was still on vacation or holiday, but the miners went into the mine to work. Now, my grandfather used to have been a miner here in Detroit. He did salt. These people here mine coal, which is a very dangerous operation here at the Appalachian Mountains. So in 2006, they went back to work, and they went far into the cave, which I believe is about 2 miles. There was two different groups. You had the one left crew, then you got the two left crew as they took a mine vehicle deep into the mine. The biggest danger inside the mines is an invisible gas called methane. They believe that methane filled the whole entire mine and the caves. And as it was raining that day in Virginia, they believe that a lightning strike somehow hit the ground and sparked the mine, which caused a big explosion. As it is, they pretty much didn't know what sparked the mine, but they believe it was the lightning. An explosion immediately happened, which filled the mine full of complete dust, heat, and dangerous gas of carbon monoxide, as the miners were pretty much blinded to what way to go and how to exit the cave. I believe I said carbon dioxide, I mean carbon monoxide. So the miners had immediately tried to find some fresh air. So they believe in a certain tunnel there is some fresh air where they tried going to, but it was blocked off. The miners of the two left crew were attempting to find some of the miners of first left crew, but it was pretty much impossible with the filled up dangerous gases and the smoke. So with the dangerous conditions, they aborted looking for the first left mine crew people, and it was stated that help was more than 4 hours away. That is an emergency mine crew. It's been well over an hour, and I guess the mine company was attempting to contact the emergency people, which they couldn't because they were still on vacation. So anyway, I guess the crew was trying to ride to safety in their mine vehicle, but it just wasn't functioning. There was so much debris in the tracks and so much smoke, they had to look for another way out because the poisonous gases were filling the air. At this time, they had to put on the emergency equipment, which is some type of breathing apparatus, and they had to put some type of plastic blanket or plastic tarp around a certain area of the cave to attempt to keep the gases from building up. They were completely surrounded by this emergency tarp. Unfortunately, some of the emergency breathing equipment did not operate for some of the miners. The miners had to share the emergency breathing equipment because some of them did not work, and it made it difficult. So if I'm correct, it took 4 hours to finally get a hold of emergency people as they finally arrived. I think they said 9 in the morning they arrived at the mine. Even across various states, emergency workers, emergency rescuers arrived at the mine. When the rescue team arrived, they saw dense smoke and heat exiting the mine. So they could not go inside the mine because they were afraid there was going to be another explosion. And for the safety of the rescuers, they had to sit out the mine and wait. So the federal inspectors were constantly monitoring the mine for fires and carbon monoxide levels. And when they feel safe, the rescuers were going inside the mine. With the seriousness of the incident, at that time, the West governor made a public appearance at the mine because it was a very serious situation, as many miners' lives were at risk. At this time, there was the first left crew that did escape the mine alive, as the second left crew were out looking for them, had abandoned that thought, and then that's when they had to take cover, as I stated earlier. With the trapped miners, they had to use their hammers to try to signal for the people outside where the location is. And that's when they started drilling an emergency hole, and rescue teams began going inside the tunnel looking for them as the carbon monoxide levels has gone down. There is special equipment in Pittsburgh at that time, specialized listening equipment that never left Pittsburgh. So the trap miners kept signaling. Unfortunately, there was no luck because the equipment never left Pittsburgh. After several hours of not being rescued, the miners sort of believed they were not going to make it. So they started writing love letters to their families on pieces of paper. It took many hours, at least 11 hours, after the explosion for the miner rescue team to finally enter the mines. This is because, and it took, they had to do it by foot because they did not want to make another explosion. That's why it takes rescuing so long. After about 23 hours, the drill had broken through one of the tunnels where they believed the trapped miners were, and there was no sign of them. And there was really bad gas, dangerous levels of gas. As you could see, I went by the Sago Baptist Church there, which is really close to the mine, and they let their church open all night for families to go in and grieve, and for hope, and for any type of update about the miners. On the second day, the mine rescue team, a little over 2 miles inside the mine, had found explosions and wreckage and a dead body. And this was a safety mine inspector where they believe that when the mine had exploded, it instantly killed this person. Just before they found the remaining miners dead, with the exception of one, they put in some type of portable air system, and approximately they're 2 miles inside the mine, maybe have a half mile to go, quarter mile to go before they find the dead miners. They put on some special breathing or some type of scuba gear for oxygen as they go within even deeper of the mines with the dangerous levels of gas. As they finally reached the mine, they found a bunch of casings of the emergency breathing equipment. They went deep down into the mine where they found the curtain. They'd open up the curtain and they pretty much discovered all the miners were dead except for one, which was barely breathing. Communication in the mine is very difficult, where it only reaches so far, so it goes through channels of walkie-talkie, and at a certain level they reach a phone where they call. Some type of miscommunication stated that all the miners were alive, which they were not, and unfortunately they were all dead, but they had to get a paramedic or somebody to confirm that. At that time, they rescued the one miner who was barely breathing, I believe they jumped on the cart vehicle and exited the mine. Out of all the miners, there were a total of 13 miners. 12 of them had died. The only one that survived was 26-year-old Randall McCloy, who was trapped in the mine for over 40 hours and was very barely breathing. He then went to the emergency room at that time, #1 trauma center of the Ruby Memorial Hospital. From being in that mine so long, they said he was found suffering from carbon monoxide poisoning, a collapsed lung, brain hemorrhaging, muscle injury, a faulty liver, and his heart failed to function properly. They then immediately transfer him to a hospital in Pittsburgh to receive infusions of oxygen in a special oxygen chamber. He was in a coma for approximately 3 weeks, where he finally started reviving a little bit. After his brief situation in Pittsburgh, they did transfer him back to the West Virginia hospital. Now, from this time, on a personal level, when I used to watch these mine disaster, there were 3 big ones. The Sago mine, which I just showed here on YouTube. Another one I showed on YouTube, Q Creek mine, and a future one, which I'm going to out in Utah. I believe, if I'm correct, the federal and state levels now had imposed some new rules and safety regulation on mining, such as emergency oxygen chambers and other safety measures. Oh, there they are, the Sago mine people. So we're gonna go ahead and salute them here.
Hope you enjoy the video. Please like and subscribe.